there was one. This actually was the other thing that kind of blew my mind that he told me about. And please tell me if you've heard about this, because I
Okay.
haven't heard anybody else talking about this. But according to Anthony Williams, who we're speaking of, there's been incidents where over Colorado and in that area, over the Colorado area, I believe, and I
Okay.
want to say Wyoming, those two areas,
Oh, Wyoming.
where they've seen reported eyewitness reports from local police and local military of giant, as he put it, giant black triangles flying over secret nuclear installations. These are off the book nuke sites. These aren't the ones that they would, report as part of our arsenal. These are
Okay.
secret areas. And these giant black triangles, this is as of October of 23 to now. This is still happening. And what I
Oh, this is
found,
current. They're flying over like
yes,
it's the current thing.
yes, it's still
Wow.
happening. And no one is talking about it. And I felt like I was going crazy so much so where I asked him, I'm like,
I
Anthony, how
haven't
do you
heard of
know I'm
this.
talking about this? You haven't heard about it,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And
Mm-mm.
I've actually, him and I have spoken about it off the show because that's the first time he told me about it. And he's like, dude, you have to hear about this. And this was something, it got so bad, Patrick, that the first time around, this past October in 23, it was pursued by what's called, I think they're called a Super Huey, something like that. It's a big military helicopter. If I'm getting the name wrong, I apologize.
Chased one of these triangle crafts.
It tried to chase it down. You had soldiers in this big U.S. military helicopter in pursuit on radio, saying what they saw, and they were pursuing this giant black triangle. And eventually, now these big helicopters, they kind of lumber, versus what a Black Hawk would do or something like that. So
Sure.
they weren't really able to keep pace. But this is something that's
Did you hear a recording of this, or this just what he said?
this is what he said. I haven't
Got
heard
it.
the
Got it. Got it.
recording, but
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
what he's told in his position, there is a recording of this. It's on record. It's on radar. It's in the reports. And
Is it just the one site? Is it just this one incident, or are there multiple on radar and recording? Like, you know what I mean? Because you said it happened multiple times. I'm curious if they have more recordings.
yeah, that I'm not sure of, but I know now I can assume they do because it would make sense, right? If there's one, then there's probably multiple.
Yeah.
But I know that it's been seen multiple times, and they're really not talking about it. And I guess the explanation.
How big you think it is? What? How big you talk? I mean,
He
you
gave the
talking here?
example of 3 football fields. So
Three
about 3
football
yards.
fields. Holy cow!
That
Okay.
was my reaction. Yeah,
Wow.
exactly.
That's
So
huge.
and I asked him because I was just kind of incredulous. I was like, how is it that this is happening? You have a 300-yard sized black triangle flying over these, secret, super sensitive sites for the U.S. military, and it's not being talked about. His explanation was, well, dude, think about it. If we have craft flying over secret sites that we don't want anybody to know about to begin with, what are we supposed to say? Are we supposed to say that a craft that we don't know where it comes from and who it is flying over a site that we can't even tell you exists? So it makes the U.S. look weak and kind of not knowing what's going on. So I think that's why it's not
Sure.
spoken about. But it's
I
wild.
mean, sure. Sure, that totally makes sense. If it's real, if that is true that happened, that explanation makes sense.
Yeah.
Right?
So
If it's meant to be a black site, nuclear site, I mean, a triangle craft, 900 feet, right?
yeah.
Interesting.
Or
Is it doing
right.
anything? Is it interacting with the nuclear site? Is it doing something? Like, why are they chasing it? Just to check it out, or it did something?
No, I think they just wanted to figure out what it was doing, right? Like, what
Just
is this
observe
thing?
it.
And why
Yeah.
is it
What?
flying over? Right.
My
See if
God.
you can figure anything out.
Wow.
As far as I know, I wasn't told if it was doing anything specific other than essentially surveying the field, right? So I
What do you
wasn't
do
told.
if you catch up to that thing in the chopper? Like,
I know.
you get on. You get on. No, I'm not getting on. You jump on it. I'm not doing that, bro. I got the rope. I'm holding the
It's
rope, bro. I got you. I'm holding the rope. You go.
what do you do? right?
I don't know, man. That's crazy. Yeah, I think about the scenario of like, okay, what happens when you catch up to this thing?
Right.
Right? Like, remember when Commander David Fravors, like the Tic Tac, right? He's like, oh, I saw this thing. I'm like, I'm gonna go chase this thing down. Like, what are you gonna do?
What do you
You
get?
catch up to this thing. Like,
It's
that's the balls on that guy, man.
I know.
You know, his testimony is great, but no,
Oh,
what a crazy story. So what's the current temperature on that story, on this incident with the black triangles and all and nuclear site? Like, where's it at? Is it just floating around? Is somebody doing something about it? Does he have any power over this guy, Anthony Williams, or
he doesn't. He's kind of, and I hate saying this because it kind of makes it sounds like it diminishes him, and I don't mean it that way, but he's kind of a cog in the machine.
sure?
Makes,
Well, the
you know,
machine's huge, so I'm sure he doesn't take that for
right.
you know what I
And
mean.
I mean, he's super accomplished
Even the
guy.
president of the United States is a cog
Yes.
in the machine.
Right.
So
It's true. So I don't mean that
we
in a
all
negative
are.